Chapter 69. Naturally, Chen Yuexing's response did not satisfy the fans. As soon as the crazy fans found out about Tang Guo's flight, they headed straight to the airport to surround her. In the end, as soon as Tang Guo stepped off the plane, she was surrounded by a large group of people. Guo, why did you leave the music industry? Guo, you owe us an explanation today. The fans were aggressive. It was as if they wouldn't let her go without an explanation. The woman removed her sunglasses, revealing a small face. Her chin was sharp and she had a sweet smile on her face. In fact, her face was so skinny that it was unrecognizable. The fans noticed that when Tang Guo raised her arm, it was also very thin. Looking at this skinny woman, they couldn't bear to express the anger that they had been suppressing. Guo, we can't bear to part with you. Tang Guo smiled. Even though I'm in the music industry, I rarely appear in front of people. The only thing that keeps you company is my voice, isn't that right? In my life, I've collaborated with others to write a few hundred songs. I've used up all my energy and I'm a little tired. From now on, I'll let them keep you company. Although I've already left the music industry, my voice will still be by your side. It won't be any different from before. Oh yes, September 9th will be my last concert in the country. On that day, there will be a total of 20 new songs. I'll let them say goodbye to you on my behalf. Guo, over the past few years, when I was free, I wrote a book. This book will be published very soon. When the time comes, I hope everyone will support me. Tang Guo looked at the fans who were unwilling to give way. Over the past few years, when I was free, I wrote a book. When the fans heard that there would be a book, their eyes lit up. Guo, are you planning to leave the music industry and enter the literary world? If that's the case, we'll be able to listen to Guo's songs and read Guo's book at the same time. Actually, if you think about it, it's not that unacceptable. I've counted that over the past few years, Guo has sung over 500 songs. Together with the 20 songs from the concert, that's a total of 520 songs. Wow, is this Guo's way of expressing her love for us? Otherwise, how could it be 520 songs? The fans imagined that Yu had taken the opportunity to take Tang Guo away. When they came back to their senses, they almost dropped the phones in their hands. They had forgotten to ask what Tang Guo's book was about and what it was called. However, didn't Guo say that it would be on the market soon? As soon as she left the airport, Tang Guo saw the man waiting outside. With a smile on her lips, she quickly walked towards the man who was waiting. She walked in front of him and just looked at him without doing anything else. Leng Rui, I really want to give you a hug right now. Hearing the woman's regretful voice, Leng Rui's heart twitched. He opened the car door. Let's go. Tang Guo got into the car. Leng Rui clenched his fists and walked towards the other car. At this moment, Tang Guo spoke. Leng Rui, can we sit together today? Leng Rui stopped and turned back. Through the car window, he could not see the woman's expression. I'm just saying. The woman's voice came out. Driver, drive. When the car started, Leng Rui stopped opening the car door and walked to the other car. Chapter 70. When the two cars were side by side, Leng Rui rolled down the window. He didn't say anything. At the same time, Tang Guo seemed to know something. She rolled down the window and smiled at him. I've already prepared the concert for you. Thank you. Leng Rui exhaled. Why on your birthday? This is a birthday present for myself. Tang Guo smiled brightly. It's a very special day. A very beautiful day. System, host, this day is not beautiful at all. How was this a beautiful day? This was clearly the day the original Tang Guo committed suicide by jumping off a building. Oh right, Ling Rui, I've finished writing my book. I'll leave the publishing to you. Tang Gui took out her phone and sent the printed version to Ling Rui. After sending it, she frowned and coughed softly. Her face turned pale. Not feeling well. Ling Rui's heart tightened. He immediately ordered, "Go to the hospital. You were disobedient overseas and didn't have regular checkups?" Ling Rui felt that he shouldn't have let this woman go overseas. Even if she went, he should have arranged for more people, especially the doctor who checked her body. He should have stayed by her side to take care of her. She lost weight again. "I'm fine." Tang Guo looked at the red blood on the tissue. She folded it and casually put it in her bag as if nothing had happened. "According to the progress of this world, your lifespan won't change." The system was in a bad mood. "Are you sure you want to hold the concert on September 9th? Why don't you bring it forward?" "No, the result won't change anyway. Tang Guo will die at night. She won't die on stage." "Host, do you really want to do this? I think you're very extreme. I hope you'll be in a better mood in the next world. Look at Ling Rui. Other than not letting you get close to him, he's actually quite good to you. Basically, he'll agree to anything you say." The system said earnestly. "Host, I think you should get along well with him in the next 2 to 3 months. Don't think about causing trouble." "I'm not causing trouble. I've been focusing on music these few years. This is what I want to do. It's also Tang Gui's dream. You seem to have some misunderstandings about me. I've written all the insights I've gained from those worlds before." System, why does he feel that things aren't that simple? Lu Qi will have a concert in October. Host, your wish should have been fulfilled. Originally, Lu Qi's concert would have been held in the second year of her debut. Because of your appearance, she only had a concert 7 years after her debut. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows. "Oh, October. What a good day." System, motherfucker, it must be an illusion. I keep feeling that the host's words have a hidden meaning. When they arrived at the hospital, Ling Rui asked Tang Guo to do a comprehensive examination. Looking at the inspection report, Ling Rui frowned. "There's no problem. Is the inspection complete?" "Mr. Lang, we have thoroughly examined Miss Tang. Apart from being anemic and working hard over the years, there is nothing wrong with her body." Ling Rui was still worried and went to another hospital. After getting the same result, he was finally relieved. "Ling Rui, you moved. This is not the way back to the villa." A rare smile appeared on Ling Rui's face. "We're not going back to the villa. I'm taking you somewhere." Chapter 71. Ling Rui tilted his head and looked at the woman leaning against the car window. The gentleness in his eyes could not be concealed. Even though she was tainted with an aura that he hated, it was undeniable that she had gradually taken over his heart. Even if he could not touch her for the rest of his life, he would keep her by his side for the rest of his life. Even if he died, she could only be by his side. If she resisted in the future, he would still use a way to keep her by his side. He had already thought of the most romantic thing, which was to hold her and watch her die in his arms. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, Tang Guo was a little surprised that Ling Rui had brought her to this place. "Host, you should believe it now, right? Ling Rui really cares about you. He brought you here directly to get your marriage certificate." Ling Rui did not ask for Tang Guo's opinion. He directly got someone to do this. Tang Guo did not resist and was very cooperative. While taking the photo, she tilted her head and looked at Ling Rui. "Ling Rui, this should be the closest we have been in years, right?" Ling Rui's heart clenched. He did not know why, but he felt that this woman was actually very far away from him even though she was clearly right in front of him. Her eyes were clearly filled with him, and he felt very panicked. Bringing Tanggua to get their marriage certificate was not a spur-of-the-moment thing. Since he wanted to keep her by his side, he had to have a legitimate reason to keep her by his side. There was Chen Yuexing and Leng Ziyue, who were both coveting this woman by his side. Now that she had been marked by him, he had to feel more at ease. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to control his urge to destroy her with his own hands. He had always been like this. If his own things were about to be taken away by others, he would do everything he could to destroy them, then sew them up and finally keep them by his side. Just like his parents. Ling Rui put away the marriage certificate and called Leng Ziyue. The first thing he said was, "Your mother is back. Come over for dinner tonight." While Leng Ziyue was still in a daze, he added, "Bring your woman. You haven't served your mother tea yet." Ling Rui had always remembered Tanggua's words that she wanted to drink her wife's tea. Therefore, while Leng Ziyue was in a daze, he told him the reason why he wanted them to come back. Before Leng Ziyue could react, Ling Rui hung up the phone impatiently. Tanggua giggled. "Ling Rui, you still remember this?" "Of course." Ling Rui looked at the woman in the car opposite him. He really wanted to reach out and pat her head. "I've already sent your book to the publisher. It will be on the market by next month at the latest." "So fast." The woman smiled with curved eyebrows, and Ling Rui was instantly healed by this smile. It seemed that ever since he met her, he had only ever seen a smile on her face. She didn't seem to be angry. No, when she was angry, she always smiled. It was impossible to tell whether she was happy or angry. "Ziyu, what's wrong with you? Who's calling?" After hanging up the phone, Leng Ziyue stood there in a daze for a long time. Lu Qi happened to see Leng Ziyue in a daze, so she could not help but ask. Leng Ziyue looked up blankly and said, "Dad asked us to go home for dinner today." "Oh, that's it." Lu Qi smiled. "Then let's get ready quickly. Don't let Dad wait for too long." Chapter 72. Chi-Chi, don't be so anxious. Leng Ziyue really didn't understand why Lu Qi was so excited when Ling Rui asked them to go back for dinner. It was as if she was more excited than when they got married. Lu Qi's behavior made him a little dissatisfied. Almost subconsciously, he remembered that Tanggua used to be his girlfriend, but then she turned around and became Ling Rui's woman. "Chi-Chi, aren't you going to have a concert? Aren't you busy recently? If you are, I can go back alone. Dad said that we should go back together. What if you go back alone and make him unhappy and mad at you? There's still a long time before the concert. If someone helps to prepare, I can squeeze out a day and a half." Lu Qi looked at Leng Ziyue strangely and stopped smiling. "Ziyue, you don't seem to want to go back. Or you don't want to take me back?" Leng Ziyue quickly shook his head. No, I'm afraid that you'll be busy and waste your time. Then Chi-Chi, my dad's girlfriend, is back. When you see her later, remember not to be too excited no matter what happens." Leng Ziyue had a bad feeling. Especially when Ling Rui asked him and Lu Qi to serve tea to his mother on the phone. Leng Ziyue took Lu Qi back to the villa nervously. Pushing the door open, he held Lu Qi's hand and went in. His hands and feet were trembling a little. At the same time, he was a little nervous. They hadn't seen each other for a few years, right? That woman never liked to be on the news. It was hard to find her in the entertainment news. If it wasn't for her actions abroad that made the whole world know her name, he might have thought that she was kept by his dad. In the living room, there was only Leng Rui and no Tanggua. This made the nervous Leng Ziyue breathe a sigh of relief. Leng Ziyue and Lu Qi politely greeted each other. Leng Rui raised his head. Have a seat. Lu Qi was also very nervous. The person in front of her was the head of the Ling family. The whole Ling family was in his hands. Nebula Music and Nebula Movies and Television were just small branches under his control. Lu Qi thought that as long as Ling Rui was satisfied, she would be able to get whatever she wanted in the future, not only in the music industry, but also in the film and television industry. If she had known that Ling Ziyue was this person's adopted son, she wouldn't have argued with Ling Ziyue back then and let Tang Guo have the opportunity to take advantage of Ling Ziyue for a period of time. Of course, it wasn't too late. She was already married to Ling Ziyue. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Lu Qi's face. Even though Tang Guo was so popular, wasn't she going to retire from the music industry soon? After Tang Guo left, wouldn't it be Lu Qi's world? Lu Qi subconsciously ignored Tang Guo's excellence and the fact that she would only have a chance to show her skills after Tang Guo left. Suddenly, Lu Qi felt a cold gaze. She subconsciously looked up and found that the gaze was directed at Ling Rui. However, when she looked over, Ling Rui had already lowered his head. Lu Qi suddenly became nervous. Was it because she rarely came back after getting married to Ling Ziyue, so Ling Rui was not satisfied with her? Dad, Lu Qi tried to call. I was too busy with work before, so I rarely came to see you. After I'm done with work, if you don't mind, I'll come to see you every day. Chapter 73. No need. Ling Rui said faintly. This made Lu Qi a little embarrassed. It seemed that her young father-in-law was really angry. She stole a few glances at Ling Rui and found that he was really young. He was less than 40 years old and had taken good care of himself. He was definitely a Prince Charming. If those women outside knew about Ling Rui's face, they would be fascinated. She even thought that with Ling Rui's status and appearance, if she had known him directly. Lu Qi quickly came back to her senses and did not dare to think about it anymore. Unexpectedly, Ling Ziyue noticed the infatuation in Lu Qi's eyes. Although it was only for a moment, he saw it. Ling Ziyue was furious. These women, all of them thought that Ling Rui was better than him. Lu Qi was so focused on pleasing Ling Rui that she did not notice Ling Ziyue's expression. Ling Rui noticed it, but he did not remind her. Until a voice came from upstairs. Ling Rui, are my son and daughter-in-law back? A woman's soft and gentle voice sounded, accompanied by the sound of footsteps. A woman appeared on the stairs. The three people present were very familiar with this voice. Lu Qi looked up subconsciously. When she saw Tang Guo, she stood up suddenly. Why are you here? Could it be that Tang Guo was Ling Rui's lover? Didn't Ziyue say that Ling Rui's girlfriend was back today? Why did he let his lover be here? Lu Qi did not want to believe that Tang Guo could be Ling Rui's girlfriend. Tang Guo tilted her head and smiled. Are you asking me? A few years had passed. Although Tang Guo had lost a lot of weight, her face was still innocent and clean, just like before. But Lu Qi was different. Her makeup was thicker than before. Because she was too busy recording various programs, the dark circles under her eyes needed to be covered with thick foundation. Looking at the natural and unadorned face in front of her, she was furious. Lu Qi pursed her lips and stared at Tang Guo. Although she did not say anything, she was trying to tell her why she was here. I've been living here all along. Tang Guo walked down and naturally sat at the seat closest to Ling Rui, but there was still a certain distance between them. Ling Ziyue felt the sharp eyes on him, so he quickly withdrew his gaze and pulled Lu Qi to the seat. Lu Qi wanted to ask why Ling Rui's lover was here. During this time, she thought about a lot of things. No wonder Tang Guo became popular so quickly. It turned out that she had Ling Rui behind her back. She was already the daughter-in-law of the Ling family, but Ling Rui had never intended to help her. Ling Rui said, "From now on, she will be your mother. I'm already married to her." These two sentences were like deep water bombs, making Ling Ziyue and Lu Qi dizzy. Ling Ziyue had expected this, but Lu Qi didn't know anything about it before. When she suddenly heard that the competitor she hated, her love rival, was actually her mother, especially when the other party was a few years younger than her, she felt unwell all over. Lu Qi's widened eyes were extremely ugly. Ling Rui saw the expression in Lu Qi's eyes. He glanced at Lu Qi and said, "You seem to have a problem with it." "She's indeed the woman you like," he said to Ling Ziyue in the end. Ling Ziyue pursed his lips. When Tang Guo left the country that year, he actually felt a little relieved. If Ling Rui was unwilling to let go of someone, how could he snatch her away? Therefore, he already knew that the two of them would be together. He had already planned to find a chance to clarify what he said back then. Chapter 74. Ling Ziyue really couldn't call Tang Guo mom. He was selfish. He didn't want to see the two people in front of him get together like ordinary people. He was also in pain. He still had Tang Guo in his heart, but he married Lu Qi. Tang Guo became his father's woman. He was the one who gave up this woman. He really didn't know who to blame. "Dad, you're not joking, right?" After a long time, Ling Ziyue said, "When did you get married?" Ling Rui raised his eyebrows and took out the two marriage certificates. Seeing this, Ling Ziyue and Lu Qi's faces turned pale. "The wedding will be held in October." Ling Rui looked at Tang Guo as he said this. Seeing that Tang Guo was still smiling and didn't feel disgusted, his mood improved a lot. "Bring the tea." Ling Rui always remembered that Tang Guo wanted to drink his son and daughter-in-law's tea. The servant brought 2 cups of tea and placed them in front of Ling Ziyue and Lu Qi. "Serve tea to your mom." Lu Qi bit her lip and glanced at Ling Ziyue. Ling Ziyue also clenched his fists tightly. He even had a marriage certificate. Ling Rui was indeed worthy of his name. He was so fast. Tang Guo supported her chin with a smile on her face as if she was waiting for the two to serve tea. Ling Ziyue struggled for a long time in his heart, but in the end, he still picked up the teacup. If he didn't serve tea and call her mom today, Ling Rui would definitely make him pay a heavy price. Lu Qi was still thinking that Ling Ziyue must have a way, but when she saw him pick up the teacup, she felt bad. Calling Tang Guo mom, she was simply humiliating her. "Chi, give. Ling Ziyue opened his mouth but couldn't say it. In the end, he gritted his teeth and closed his eyes. "Serve tea to our mom." Lu Qi could only pick up the tea reluctantly. The two bowed to Tang Guo. They didn't know how much preparation they had in their hearts, but at the same time, they said, "Mom, please drink tea." Tang Guo leisurely looked at the two people whose faces were flushed red from holding back. The corners of her mouth curled up more and more. Her red lips parted slightly as she spat out 2 words, "So obedient." Lu Qi almost vomited blood. She should have listened to Ling Ziyue and not come back today. "System, I really can't understand the host's bad taste. Come, I'll give you all a red packet." Tang Guo took the tea and drank it. Then, she took out 2 red envelopes and handed them to Lu Qi and Ling Ziyue. The two stiffened and took the red envelopes. If not for the fact that he was trying his best to control himself, he would have gone mad by now. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes and said, "Son, daughter-in-law, you two must grow old together. Ling Rui, you have to keep an eye on them from now on. Don't let them have any conflicts, lest they get impulsive and get divorced. That's not good." A smile appeared on Ling Rui's face. The woman seemed to be very happy. He naturally felt very happy. Other than not being able to touch her, he would remember everything she said and would never forget it. Okay, I'll keep an eye on them. I won't let them break up. Lu Qi felt terrible, as if she had eaten shit. She really didn't know what Tangua's purpose was. Would she make trouble for her in the future? She sat on the side with a deep frown. She thought she was about to get rid of Tangua, but now she felt that she was really naive. Ling Ziyue and Lu Qi didn't feel good about the meal. After eating, they didn't want to stay any longer and quickly left. Tangua leaned on the railing and looked at the two people who left in a hurry. She chuckled. Are you very happy? Chapter 75. Ziyue, why would Tangua do this? Lu Qi didn't dare to say anything before, but after leaving the villa, she had to question Ling Ziyue. Wasn't Tangua her rival in love? How did she become her mother-in-law? Ling Ziyue frowned. After Tangua broke up with me, she got together with my dad. I thought my dad was just fooling around. I didn't expect him to be serious. Lu Qi was furious. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Ling Ziyue felt a little uncomfortable when he heard Lu Qi's question. He suddenly remembered the way Lu Qi looked at Ling Rui and felt even more upset. It seemed that he shouldn't go back to the villa in the future. However, at this time, Ling Ziyue's phone rang. Dad. Come back for dinner every night from now on. Ling Rui's faint voice was heard. Your mom is very happy to see you. She ate a lot more today. When Ling Ziyue wanted to find an excuse, the phone was hung up. What's wrong? Lu Qi asked in confusion. Ling Ziyue put down the phone stiffly. Dad wants us to go back for dinner every night. Why? Lu Qi's eyebrows were almost raised. She was so angry that she vomited blood when she came back. Every day when she went back and saw that woman, she had to call her mom. She felt how terrible it was to live in this world. Ziyue, I don't want to go back. Chi-Chi, I don't want to go back either. Ling Ziyue was helpless. But we have to go back. Why? Lu Qi didn't understand at all. She used to be the eldest daughter of the Lu family. Although her family wasn't the best, it wasn't comparable to anyone. In the end, Tangua just had to come out of nowhere and beat her in everything. She thought that after she became the daughter-in-law of the Ling family, she didn't have to live under the halo of Tangua anymore. Just when she was feeling complacent, she suddenly found that the person she hated the most was her mother-in-law. It was really terrible. Tangua was like a ghost haunting her. Whether it was work or life, she was always entangled with her. If we don't go back, we will have nothing tomorrow. Lu Qi bit her lip and didn't speak. What's this? Tangua looked at the booklet Ling Rui handed to her and asked curiously. Choose the style of the wedding dress. Do you like it? Tangua opened the booklet. Sure enough, there were all kinds of wedding dress styles inside. Each one was very beautiful. After looking for a while, she closed the booklet and asked, Are you really going to have a wedding? Of course. Tangua rested her chin on her hand and smiled. Ling Rui, holding a wedding means that you have to hug me, hold me, and kiss me on that day. Can you do it? These words caused Ling Rui's body to stiffen. He was a little hesitant. Perhaps he should postpone it a little. But tea. The thick smell of smoke made Tangua cough fiercely a few times. She quickly took out a tissue and covered her mouth, choking on her tears. Seeing this, Ling Rui put out the cigarette with trembling hands. Let's go out and get some fresh air. Seeing the woman choking and crying, he regretted that he couldn't help smoking when he was annoyed. Then, he asked the servants to get rid of the smell of smoke in the room. Chapter 76. Ever since that day, Tangua had not seen Langrui smoke again. She wondered if he had quit smoking or if he would not smoke in front of her again. Actually, Langrui is not a bad man. The system's faint voice sounded. Host, he cares a lot about you. The corners of Tangua's mouth curved slightly. In every world, there will be many people who care about me. Okay, host, we can actually talk about other things. Needless to say, the host's next words would be, the more they care about me, the more ruthless they will abandon me in the future. The system did not try to persuade Tangua to let go of the butcher's knife. After all, there was not much time left. Apart from meeting Lu Qi and Ling Ziyue every day and making them feel depressed, the host did not seem to have done anything special. 1 month later, Tangua's book went on the market. Because Tangua's fame was too big, her fan group was also very large. So, the 50,000 copies of the book were sold out in one day. In an instant, Tangua's fans were proud to own, if this was another ending. 2 days ago, there was not much reaction. A few days later, the people who bought the book had almost finished reading it. Tangua's fans started to discuss the content of the book. When I first started reading, I thought it was a drama. When I got to the middle, I thought it was an inspirational book. When I read the ending, I realized it was a tragic novel. Guo Guo, you are so cruel. The female lead actually used her own name and wrote her own ending in such a tragic way. Yeah, when the female lead first appeared, I felt like I was looking at myself who had just graduated from university. That kind of pure and innocent look, I really miss it. A pure and innocent person, a person who believed in love, but because of a scumbag who found a substitute, her life was ruined. Just looking at it makes me sad. It can be said that the female lead was destined to turn bad. Her tragedy was also destined. No, from your comments, you can see that you did not really understand the book. A fan expressed her opinion. Although the female lead was not willing to be a substitute, she did not want to hurt anyone at first. If it wasn't for the fact that the scumbag's girlfriend made him think that the female lead was doing something bad every time they met, she would not have ended up like this. In the end, she decided to hurt someone because the scumbag was too heartless and never wanted to believe her. She had done so many things that had backfired on her. Every time, she would end up in a miserable state. Everyone scolded her for ruining other people's relationships, but who knew the reason behind it? She just accepted the scumbag's feelings, which led to all this. If she knew she was a substitute, do you think she would accept it? Actually, she had a chance to escape from the sea of bitterness. She had a difficult time in the middle, and it just so happened that a big shot liked to listen to her songs and became her financial backer. During those 3 months, there's a description of her psychological state. I suggest you take a look. This fan's words made the others immediately flip through the psychological description. The passage went like this: I lived a quiet life for the past few months. Almost no one disturbed me. All I needed to do every day was sing a few songs for him. He was a very quiet person. He would only listen to me sing quietly. I seemed to have found my most loyal fan. Chapter 77. When I get out of here, I will go to a place where no one knows me and spend the rest of my life in peace. I will never chase after an illusory love again. Seeing this, the fans were a little stunned. They did not expect to miss such a plot. Did you see that? Look at the scene of her leaving the villa. The moment she was chased out of the villa, the female lead's thoughts were, so, I am not redeemed. The only person who appreciates me doesn't believe in me. He is not a quiet person, but a cold and ruthless person. And I am still just a tool. A substitute, a tool, how ridiculous. The fans were in a heated discussion, so much so that several people could not help but open the book to read. Lang Rui opened it immediately. After reading it, he found the woman curled up on the sofa watching TV. He sat on the side indifferently, his eyes fixed on Tanghua. What's wrong? Lang Rui pointed at the book and asked, that mysterious sugar daddy is me. Am I right? Yes. The woman admitted it calmly. Lang Rui frowned. Why did you write such a tragic book? He was also written in such a hateful way. The female lead's life, from the beginning, was like a tragedy. In the end, she was humiliated and photographed. Finally, she could not take it anymore and committed suicide on her birthday. That year, she was only 26 years old and her birthday was September 9th. This year, Tanghua was 26 years old and her birthday was September 9th. You shouldn't have used your name and your birthday. Lang Rui did not understand why he was so nervous. This ending is not good. It was frustrating. If he had known it was the content, he would have asked the publisher to change it. You took it seriously. Tanghua smiled sweetly. It's just another ending. It's not real. You took it seriously. Lang Rui did not speak, but it was obvious that he was very unhappy. Because in the book, Tanghua's tragedy was caused by the sugar daddy who was based on him. If this sugar daddy had not destroyed her last hope, she would not have committed suicide. Anyway, this ending is not good. Lang Rui was still frowning. The publisher said that they want to print more. I don't think it's necessary. Then I won't print it. Lang Rui's expression softened a little. He wanted to throw the book away, but in the end, he gently put it aside. Chen Yuexing also read the book and successfully found a character based on himself. After reading it, he called Tanghua. Gua have I offended you? Did I do something to make you unhappy? If you have offended me in any way, Gua you must tell me. Don't hold a grudge. Tanghua was a little confused. What's wrong? What's wrong? Why did you make me sound so detestable? Chen Yuexing was angry. Gua although I'm jealous of Lang Rui for having you, I will never harm you, let alone fall in love with someone else. When he read the book, he was so angry that his eyebrows were about to burn off. He had set up the plot of an old man for Tanghua. Ling Ziyue also couldn't wait to read it. After reading it, he fiercely rubbed his hair. Sure enough, that woman really hated him. But why did he and Lu Qi have the best ending in the book? Could this be the so-called special way of revenge? Chapter 78. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was September 9th, Tanghua's concert was also her birthday. In order to prepare for this concert, Lang Rui had spent a lot of money to build a venue for 100,000 people for Tanghua. Since she wanted to retire, he wanted her to retire in a grand manner. It was also a special birthday present for her. The fans were also unprecedentedly enthusiastic. From the beginning, they had been looking at the woman on the stage with tears in their eyes. Unknowingly, they had liked her for 7 years. They had always thought that she would be with them forever. They had not expected that she would only be on the stage for 7 years, just 7 short years. The entire concert was very quiet. Other than Tanghua's singing, no one spoke. Their eyes were also very focused because this was the last concert. In the future, there would not be another person whose singing could touch their heartstrings like this. There would also not be another person whom they liked and hated at the same time. Why did Gua retire from the music industry? Lang Rui looked away and said, I don't know. You don't know either. Chen Yuexing was surprised. I thought she quit because of you. Now that he knew that was not the case, he felt a little better. Chen Yuexing noticed that Lang Rui's whole body was tense. He seemed to be clenching his fists tightly. Lang Rui. What's wrong with you? Lang Rui unclenched his fists. His eyes still did not leave the woman on the stage. I planned to propose to her. Although they had already registered their marriage, they had not held a wedding ceremony yet. He still wanted to formally propose to her once and make her agree willingly. However, he did not dare to take this step. Because if they held a wedding, it was inevitable that they would have physical contact. So he was hesitating. If he pushed her away in front of everyone at the wedding, he would inadvertently become a laughing stock. Perhaps he could wait a little longer. Chen Yuexing did not say anything. He did not want to ask Lang Rui if he was ready, nor did he want to encourage Lang Rui to go. He also had his own selfish motives. He really couldn't help his rival in love. At this moment, no one noticed that the woman on the stage had cold sweat on her forehead. They all thought that it was because she was sweating from the heat. Under the makeup, the woman's face was already very pale. Even her hand, which was holding the microphone, began to tremble. The taste of blood in her throat made her almost vomit. However, this was the last song. Tang Guo gritted her teeth and used the last of her strength to sing the last song perfectly. Finally, she squatted on the ground as if she had unloaded all her burdens and quietly squatted on the stage. When the music stopped, the fans waited for Tang Guo to stand up and talk to them. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes passed. They had less than 3 minutes left. Everyone realized that something was wrong. Before the workers could react, Lang Rui jumped onto the stage. Before he even got close to the woman, he finally welcomed her voice. Sorry, I'm a little tired. The fans heaved a sigh of relief, and so did Lang Rui. He continued to walk toward the woman. The fans recognized Lang Rui, and the mood at the scene rose again. Lang Rui took the microphone and said without looking at the people below, I'm too tired. I'll take her to rest first. The fans didn't blame her at all. Instead, they cheered. The scene in front of them was too sweet. This man was really the Prince Charming in every woman's heart. Chapter 79. Tang Guo raised her head with a pale face. Unfortunately, because of the makeup on her face, no one could see her real face. Seeing Lang Rui's stiff expression, her lips curved slightly. Lang Rui looked at her and wanted to say something. He instinctively wanted to call for help. In the next moment, the woman could no longer hold on and fell. Even though she had fallen, she still looked at him with a smile. At that moment, Lang Rui's face turned pale. Just as Tang Guo was about to touch the ground, he couldn't care about anything else and caught her. When he hugged her, he realized that her body was really cold. Her neck was covered in cold sweat and her skin was so pale. She was so weak that she couldn't close her eyes. Fresh blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Lang Rui panicked. At this moment, he couldn't care less about the smell that he didn't like. He carried Tang Guo and ran down the stairs frantically. Go to the hospital. The fans below the stage also felt that something was wrong, especially the fans closer to the stage. They also saw the scene of Tang Guo falling down and panicked. They were all asking their Guo what happened. Mr. Lang, we're sorry. We tried our best. Miss Tang's cancer cells have spread throughout her body. We can't save her. The cancer cells had spread throughout her body. Lang Rui couldn't accept this result at all. He grabbed the doctor and his eyes were red. She doesn't have cancer at all. I personally accompanied her to the hospital for a checkup 3 days ago. He took out a medical report and threw it at the doctor's face. Take a look for yourself. Is this a report from your hospital? The doctor held the medical report in fear. The results were just as Leng Rui had said. Other than anemia, Tang Gua didn't have the so-called stomach cancer and no cancer cells had spread throughout her body. This was a serious matter. The doctor hurriedly took out the previous checkup records. Every time Tang Gua had a checkup, it showed that there was nothing wrong with Tang Gua's body at the time of the checkup. Even Leng Rui couldn't do anything to them in the face of such evidence. Hence, from a medical point of view, they could only treat this as a very rare and hidden cancer cell. Even medical equipment couldn't detect it. If it wasn't for Leng Rui's terrifying appearance, they would have even suggested that they studied Tang Gua's body. Leng Rui was faster than them and took Tang Gua's body away on the same day. From the hospital to the Leng family's old mansion, he put Tang Gua into the crystal coffin that he had made a long time ago. Just like that, he lay down in the crystal coffin with her in his arms. His face was expressionless as he constantly touched the woman's pale face. He didn't say anything. He just hugged her quietly and touched the pale skin on her face gently, as if he was wiping a treasure. He wanted to make up for everything he had done all these years. However, this was already a cold corpse. Leng Rui, let her go. When Leng Rui carried Tang Gua back to Leng Jia's old house, he knew what Leng Rui was going to do. You didn't want to touch her when she was alive, but after she died, you held her tightly in your arms. Leng Rui, I never thought that you were such a person. Chen Yuexing smiled miserably. Do you really mind that she was once Leng Ziyue's girlfriend? If you like clean women, why don't you find someone else? Chapter 80. Leng Rui placed Tang Gua's body in the crystal coffin and laid in it for 3 days. Chen Yuexing couldn't persuade him and had to leave with heavy steps. On the 3rd day, Leng Ziyue came in. Although Tang Gua's death caused a huge commotion outside, and everyone was silently wiping tears for Tang Gua's death caused a huge commotion. That grand concert was also known as the last concert. Every time they thought of Tang Gua and listened to her singing, the fans couldn't help but cry. They really missed her, missed the angel who only focused on music. She was so perfect, the angel in their hearts. She left them just like that, and the day she left was actually the night of her birthday. They were still wishing her a happy birthday, but they didn't expect to see her death. The entire sky was foggy, as if even the heavens were grieving for this young woman. Dad, come out. Leng Ziyue pursed his lips. He looked at the woman in the crystal coffin and his heart collapsed. If he had known that his words would cause so many regrets, he wouldn't have said those words. He didn't feel the thrill of revenge at all. He regretted it very much. If he could turn back time, he wouldn't have been moved on the day Lu Qi came back. He would have held Tang Gua's hand tightly. He would have said to her, Xiao Gua, let's be together for the rest of our lives. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. I'm sorry, Xiao Gua. Leng Ziyue covered his face with both hands and cried in a low voice. Actually, there's nothing between Xiao Gua and me. Nothing happened. Nothing really happened. Leng Rui finally had some expression. His sharp gaze fell on Leng Ziyue. For the first time, Leng Ziyue looked directly at Leng Rui. Nothing really happened. I was jealous of you and didn't want her by your side. Coincidentally, Lu Qi, who came to find Leng Ziyue, heard this sentence and was stunned. Leng Ziyue. Leng Ziyue was a little flustered. He didn't know what to do when he saw Lu Qi walking over. Leng Rui sneered and carefully placed Tang Gua in the crystal coffin. He waved his hand and both Leng Ziyue and Lu Qi were taken out. Leng Rui lit his cigarette again. He had not smoked in a long time. He looked cold, but only he knew that he no longer had a heart. He threw a document in front of Leng Ziyue. When Leng Ziyue opened it, he froze on the spot and looked at Lu Qi in disbelief. It recorded all the things that Lu Qi had done to frame Tang Guo in the dark over the years. Although she failed every time, everything was true. Lu Qi, let's divorce. Ling Ziyue said coldly. Lu Qi widened her eyes and finally flipped open the document Ling Ziyue threw in front of her. She still shook her head. Ziyue, I just like you too much. Really, I'm just afraid that she will snatch you away. Besides, I didn't succeed, enough. Ling Rui had already finished smoking a cigarette. His face was indifferent, and no one could tell what he was thinking. Suddenly, a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. She said that she would let you grow old together. How can you divorce? In short, Ling Ziyue and Lu Qi's fates could no longer be separated. They were locked up on a small island and lived a primitive life. Later, Lu Qi went crazy and raped Ling Ziyue when he was not paying attention. She even gave birth to a child. Ling Ziyue lived in incomparable pain for the rest of his life. As for Ling Rui, he went back to the Ling family's old house to sleep every day. The place where he slept was no longer a high-end mattress, but a coffin. Next to the coffin was Tang Guo's crystal coffin. He seemed to have gone crazy. Every day before he went to bed, he would say good morning to her when he woke up. He could not sleep anywhere. Only lying in the coffin and listening to Tang Guo's songs could he fall asleep. One day was like 10 years of torture. In just a few years, Ling Rui had aged beyond recognition. One day, he did not go to the company. The people from the company came to the Ling family's old house and saw him in the coffin with a smile on his face. He was already dead. The things in the coffin were all things that Tang Guo had bought for him. Tang Guo was soaking in the heavenly spring at the transit station. This was the place she would go every time she left the world. After leaving that world, she did not look back to see what happened after. In short, she was happy that the people living in that world continued to suffer. Chapter 81. That's right, his excellent and carefully selected cannon fodder host had once again destroyed the world. Tang Guo opened her eyes, a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Her smile was really pure. There were 2 revised versions of the book you wrote. One was edited by Ling Rui, and the other was edited by Qin Yuexing. No, it should be 3 versions. The last version was edited by Ling Ziyue. However, with his current situation, there was no way he could publish this version. The system knew that Tang Guo was listening, although she did not want to waste time to see how the story developed. However, Tang Guo did not refuse to listen to what the system said. The ending of Ling Rui's version was that he found Tang Guo and protected her wholeheartedly. He helped her overcome obstacles and made Tang Guo famous all over the world. In the end, the 2 of them got married and lived happily ever after. Host, if you look at this ending, you will know that Ling Rui still has a bright side. Look at yourself. You are full of darkness, extreme and vengeful aura. It makes people tremble. He did not dare to keep scolding Tang Guo. Seeing that Tang Guo's eyes were not right, he quickly told her Qin Yuexing's version. It was written in the book that after Tang Guo and Ling Ziyue broke up, Qin Yuexing appeared and took Tang Guo away. The reason was that he thought that Tang Guo sang very well and decided to sign her. After the 2 of them worked together again and again, the sparks of love were created. He promoted Tang Guo and messed with Lu Qi while he was at it. He also set up Lu Qi and Ling Ziyue to get married. He also designed a chaotic marriage between the 2 of them and successfully brought Tang Guo onto the world stage. The ending was that the 2 of them got married and lived happily ever after. This is the revised content of Ling Ziyue's version. He wrote that although he still liked Lu Qi when he saw her return, he realized that he had already fallen in love with Tang Guo. After careful consideration, he felt that his love for Lu Qi was just unwillingness. Therefore, he did not break up with Tanggua. Instead, he got engaged with her early. After getting married, as a good man, he would help Tanggua realize her dream. In the middle, despite Lu Chi's obstructions, he did not hesitate to help Tanggua solve it. He was determined not to let anyone hurt Tanggua. In short, the ending was still happy. After saying that, the system wanted to see Tanggua's reaction. However, he only heard a sneer. Boring. Next world. The system sighed. Its female supporting host was becoming more and more willful. It wondered if the next world would collapse. Xiaogua, what are you looking at? The young man behind him walked to Tanggua's side. He was handsome, 188 centimeters tall, and wore a white shirt and khaki trousers. He had one hand in his trouser pocket and a faint smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Coupled with her perfect facial features, she would probably be stuck in a traffic jam if she walked out. The young man was not very close to Tanggua, and he was standing at a certain distance from her. It should be said that there was alienation in his eyes. He was the adopted son of the family Tang, and his name was Tangjing. She was Tanggua, the little princess of the family Tang. Therefore, she should call the person beside her brother. Xiaogua, you like him? The young man's lips curved into a smile. That's Lin Yiqi, the only son of the Lin family. Xiaogua, you have good taste. Although he was praising, the young man's eyes were as calm as an ancient well. It should be said that he did not like the person he was praising. If it was the original Tanggua, she would not have noticed this. Chapter 82. Tanggua gracefully sat on the sofa and glanced at Lin Yiqi in the distance. Finally, her gaze landed on Tangjing. She narrowed her eyes and drank a mouthful of red wine as if she wasn't interested in Tangjing's Lin Yiqi. Brother. The girl's soft and sweet voice made Tangjing abruptly pause and lower his head. He maintained a reserved smile on his face and walked over. Brother, I'm drunk. I'm a bit dizzy. The girl's cheeks were pink and her eyes were misty. Her white and tender face was rosy, making her look very pretty. She leaned weakly on the sofa and frowned slightly. She wished that people could bring all the beauty in the world to her and let her choose. The system watched from the side and really felt like it was a dog. Its host was really capable. Just a moment ago, she was still in high spirits and looked normal. She could easily drink a few boxes of beer in one go. After drinking half a glass of red wine, she said that she was drunk. She even looked like she was drunk. Motherfucker, the host was getting more and more eccentric. Tang Zhang's brows slightly furrowed. Just as he was about to say something, the girl got up from the sofa and said, Brother, I want to go rest for a while. Do you want to accompany me? The girl looked at Tang Jing innocently, making him unable to refuse. Even though he was very against contact with the girl. However, seeing that she was swaying and could fall if he wasn't careful, he still walked over and supported her like a gentleman. But he didn't expect that just as he supported her, the girl leaned on him with all her strength. The young girl's fragrance made him unconsciously take a deep breath. He accepted his fate and helped Tanggua to the lounge. At the same time, Lin Yiqi walked over. Do you need help? Lin Yiqi's gaze fell on the girl's face and his eyes flashed with surprise. Miss Tang seems to be drunk. Tang Jing glanced at the girl in his arms and then looked at the light in Lin Yiqi's eyes. He didn't know why, but he helped Tanggua to the lounge and didn't pay attention to Lin Yiqi. When he helped Tanggua into the room, he frowned and stared at the drunk girl on the bed. His goal today was to make the girl fall in love with Lin Yiqi, so that Tang Liqing wouldn't force him to marry Tanggua in the future. He did not dislike the family Tang group. He just did not want to be a chess piece. When he was taken out of the orphanage, Tang Liqing had instilled in him the idea that he would be the future son-in-law of the family Tang group. If Tang Guo fell in love with another man, with her temperament, she would definitely not be willing to be with him, and he would be able to get rid of this trouble. It was clearly a good opportunity just now, so why did he reject it? Brother, I want to drink water. Unknowingly, the young girl had already climbed up from the bed. She rubbed her eyes and looked at Tang Zheng in confusion. She was as clean as an angel, making people not want to hurt her even a little. Tang Zheng pursed his lips and turned around to pour her a cup of water. He placed it in front of her, and just as the young girl raised her hand to receive the cup, he let go. Unexpectedly, the young girl did not seem to be holding it steadily, and the cup fell, drenching her body. The water was a bit hot, but luckily Tang Zheng was a gentleman and received warm water. Otherwise, the young girl's chest would have been scalded red. The young girl looked a bit confused and helpless, causing Tang Zheng's heart to fiercely twitch. If he didn't think of adding cold water, then the clean young girl would have been injured. At this time, the young girl's chest was wet, revealing her beautiful curves. He hurriedly moved away. I didn't hold it steadily. There's no water to drink. Chapter 83. The young girl quietly drank the water, and Tang Zheng looked at her seriously swallowing the water in small mouthfuls. She was no longer as calm as before. Seeing that the paper cup was empty, he asked curiously, "Xiaoguo, do you want more?" The young girl lifted her head, revealing her beautiful eyes, and nodded seriously, "Brother, I want more." Her soft and sweet voice caused Tang Zheng's throat to dry up as a strange feeling rose in his heart. However, this strange feeling was quickly dispelled by him. He took another paper cup and waited for the young girl to finish drinking. Seeing that she had no intention of wanting more, he let out a sigh of relief. "I'll go get the dress for you. You rest for a bit." "Okay, brother, I'll wait for you to come back." Tang Zheng closed the door and pulled on his collar. He was a bit annoyed as he hurriedly left. In the room, Tang Guo's lips curled into a smile. Her smile was bewitching. Where was the purity from before? "System, what the hell?" The system carefully asked, "Host, what kind of earth-shattering thing are you planning to do in this world? You have to know that in the last world, because of your death, the entire world became your fans. Because they couldn't accept it, they couldn't recover for decades, so it's like this." Tang Guo's lips curled up in satisfaction as she softly laughed. "That's good. She should be satisfied that so many people are sad for her." The system had long since given up hope that its host would obediently live the life of a cannon fodder. Moreover, it had a faint feeling that no matter what the host did, nothing bad would happen. If that was the case, it couldn't be bothered to stop it. It would only occasionally remind it. It would tell the host to be careful. If something happened one day, it really wouldn't be able to help her. "Host, what do you plan to do?" Tang Guo played with her phone and casually asked, "What do you think?" The system cried. It just couldn't guess. It should be said that it didn't dare to guess. It felt that no matter how bad its guess was, it wouldn't be as bad as the host's plan. Tang Guo put down the paper cup and began to browse the plot of this world. The male lead of this world was Lin Yiqi and the female lead was Gu Qingqing. Lin Yiqi was the young master of House Lin, and Gu Qingqing was a small employee under him. For some reason, she became his personal secretary. Just like that, the two of them had a spark of love. Because Gu Qingqing's identity was ordinary, the two of them had been having a secret relationship. And she, Tang Guo, was born to be the little princess of the family Tang. The Tang couple doted on their daughter very much and only wanted one daughter. Later on, they were afraid that their daughter would be bullied if she married into another family. When Tang Gua was 3 years old, the family Tang couple went to the orphanage to adopt an 8-year-old boy. This person was Tang Jing, the husband they prepared for the little family Tang princess. It's just that Tang Jing was born smart, and when he found out about the family's plans, he endured it and used the family to grow up. He was also very unfamiliar with Tang Gua. Especially after knowing the family Tang couple's plan, he did not plan to have much contact with this younger sister. The older he got, the more he disliked having his life arranged by others. At this time, Tang Zheng had already built his own business in private. It could be said that even if he left the family Tang now, it wouldn't have any impact. But because of his excellence, the family Tang couple became more and more satisfied. Just a few days ago, they were discussing whether to ask the two of them. If the two of them had feelings for each other, they might as well get them engaged. Chapter 84. The Lin Corporation was in a crisis, and the Lin Corporation and Tang Corporation had some relationship. He heard that the Lin couple was willing to marry the Tang Corporation. Tang Jing felt that the opportunity had come, so he brought along Tang Gua, who had always been unwilling to attend parties. The family Tang couple didn't suspect anything. They thought that he was close to Tang Gua because he had feelings for her and was very willing. Tang Zheng's plan was very successful, and Tang Gua trusted her brother very much. Her brother said that he was a good person, and she gradually felt that Lin Yiqi was really good. After all, he was the male lead of this world, so he definitely had a male lead aura. Unsurprisingly, Tang Gua fell in love with Lin Yiqi. Because Lin Yiqi had someone he liked, of course, he didn't want to marry Tang Gua. But the crisis facing the Lin Corporation forced him to compromise. In addition, Tang Gua pestered him every day, which made him very annoyed. He was very unhappy in his heart. He felt that since the Tang Corporation was a friend of the Lin Corporation, why didn't they help him? Why did they insist on giving him a woman? As the male lead, Lin Yiqi began to hate Tang Kor. In the end, he married Tang Gua, but she was just a decoration. He took advantage of Tang Gua's love and continued to devour the Tang Corporation. Soon, the Tang Corporation went bankrupt, and the status of the family Tang's little princess plummeted, and she became a poor girl. After the Tang Corporation went bankrupt, Lin Yiqi openly had an office relationship with Gu Qingqing. One time, Tang Guo bumped into them. As the little princess, of course, she couldn't stand it. The more Tang Guo made things difficult for Gu Qingqing, the more Lin Yiqi hated her. Because every time Tang Guo appeared, she didn't give them any face, so the two of them hated Tang Guo. Lin Yiqi officially asked for a divorce, and Tang Guo obviously didn't accept it. At this time, she still loved Lin Yiqi. Later, she accidentally heard that the Tang Corporation's bankruptcy was Lin Yiqi's conspiracy. Lin Yiqi said this in front of Father Tang at the hospital, and Father Tang was angry because of this. Not long after, Mother Tang also passed away. Tang Gua, who had lost her family, could no longer bear all this. She was ready to kill these two people with a knife. In the end, she was sent to a mental hospital by Lin Yiqi, and was hacked to death by one of the patients there. This was the tragic life of the original owner. She was really just a cannon fodder. She liked the wrong person and caused the destruction of her family. After reading the original plot, Tang Guo revealed a very sweet smile. What about Tang Jing after that? The system trembled, but still honestly said, after Tang Guo got married, he went abroad. By the time he found out, it was Tang Guo's corpse. After that, he remembered the family Tang's upbringing and went against Lin Yiqi. Then, he was also successfully killed as cannon fodder. Tang Guo's lips curled into a smile. Hee, so you're just cannon fodder. How disappointing. I thought that Tang Zheng's plan was so meticulous, and that his sister would fall in love with someone else. I didn't think that he would be killed so easily. The system hurriedly added, actually, Lin Ichi didn't get off easy. At least he and Gu Qingqing were tortured by Tang Jing. In the end, they were left with half their lives. Gu Qingqing lost the ability to have children, and Lin Ichi broke his leg. Oh. That's not bad. Hearing its host's praise, the system couldn't feel happy. Host, can you secretly tell me what your plan is? Chapter 85. Tang Jing quickly returned and placed the clean dress in front of Tang Guo. Tang Guo held the dress and went to the bathroom, while Tang Jing waited outside, sitting under the dim light. The voice from the bathroom was exceptionally clear. Brother. A soft voice interrupted Tang Zhang's thoughts. What's wrong? I can't zip it up. Tang Zhang's fingers were a bit stiff as he got up to look for her. Unexpectedly, the girl had already walked out and obediently turned around in front of him. Brother, help me. The girl turned around and revealed a playful smile. Sorry to trouble brother. Tang Jing pursed his lips. Before he could refuse, the girl turned around, leaving him with a snow-white back with perfect curves. Even so, he was only dazed for a moment before he helped the girl zip it up. It's done. Tang Zhang's palms were a bit sweaty. Tang Guo stood up and naturally held Tang Zhang's arm. Brother, let's go out. The girl's voice carried a bit of excitement as if she really wanted to go out. Tang Jing walked with his long legs and didn't reject the girl's closeness as he brought her back into the crowd. When Lin Ichi saw Tang Guo appear, he walked over and asked in a very gentlemanly manner, Miss Tang, are you okay? Tang Guo nodded. I'm much better. At this time, Lin Ichi had already promised his family to get close to Tang Guo. Seeing such a clean girl, he didn't reject her as much. Then can I ask Miss Tang for a dance? Tang Guo didn't answer Lin Ichi's question. Instead, she tilted her head and looked at Tang Jing. Brother, can I dance with him? Tang Jing saw the girl's eyes as if she was looking forward to dancing with Lin Ichi. For some reason, his heart felt a bit uncomfortable. But then he thought of his own plan, which was to make Tang Guo fall in love with Lin Ichi. He placed Tang Guo's hand in Lin Ichi's, as long as Xiao Guo likes it. Tang Guo turned around and smiled, moving closer to Tang Zhang's ear. Brother said he's good. She winked at Tang Jing and was brought to the dance floor by Lin Ichi. Tang Jing, who stayed in the same place, didn't have as easy as he imagined. The girl danced with Lin Yi, making him feel strangely irritated. Frowning, his gaze never left the two of them. He didn't know what Lin Ichi had said to the girl, but he didn't see her smiling so happily even back at home. Tang Jing pursed his thin lips and took a light sip of the red wine, feeling that it was extremely difficult to swallow. Mr. Tang. A beautiful woman walked over from the side. Tang Jing recognized this woman. She was a popular second-rate actress. Mr. Tang, would you like to dance together? Normally, Tang Jing would not refuse a lady's request. Even if he did not have any thoughts, he would still leave some face for the other party. At this moment, he was not in the mood to dance at all. The female celebrity wasn't an ignorant person. She smiled and gave herself a way out. It seems that it's not convenient for Mr. Tang. What a pity. Next time then. When the female celebrity turned around, a fair and slender hand suddenly appeared in front of her. She looked up in surprise. Mr. Tang. Aren't we dancing? Tang Jing smiled elegantly and held the female star's hand in a gentlemanly manner. The two entered the dance floor together. Dancing with a stranger, Tang Jing seemed to have forgotten the discomfort the girl gave him. He subconsciously looked for the girl's figure on the dance floor, but he didn't see Tang Guo. Chapter 86. I didn't expect Mr. Tang to dance so well. Su Fangfei pursed her lips and smiled. Her watery eyes didn't leave the man in front of her for a second. Before this, she really didn't think that the proud son of the family Tang would agree to dance with her. This was really a big surprise. She didn't know that the person holding her dancing was not thinking about her. Ever since Tang Jing found the girl's figure, his eyes swept over from time to time. Lin Yiqi sat next to the girl and said something with a smile. With young Master Lin's means, it should be easy to make a girl happy. But Tang Jing clearly felt that the girl was not happy. Xiaogua is not interested in this. It's a holiday right now. How about I take you somewhere else tomorrow? Originally, Lin Yiqi didn't want to come into contact with Tang Gua. After all, he already had someone he liked. But after coming into contact with Tang Gua, he didn't know why, but if he had to marry a woman in the future, Tang Gua in front of him was very suitable. Tang Gua raised her eyelids and slightly lowered her eyes. The corner of her mouth curved. Thank you, Brother Lin. That would be too troublesome. The more distant and polite Tang Guo was, the more Lin Yiqi didn't reject her. He forgot how much his family rejected him when they asked him to get close to Tang Guo. Brother Lin, it seems that someone is looking for you. You don't have to worry about me. Lin Yiqi looked and saw that it was indeed two important people at the banquet. He apologized a few times and left with them. After Lin Yiqi left, many people came to invite Tang Gua to dance, but she rejected them all. Tang Jing saw this and was slightly relieved. When the song was over, he didn't have time to say anything to Su Fangfei and quickly walked to Tang Gua's position. The girl seemed to be bored to death and looked at the dance floor with her chin in her hand. When she saw him go over, the flash of joy in her eyes was not missed by him. Tang Jing didn't know where the joy in his heart came from. He just followed his heart and quickly walked in front of her. Finally, he thought of something and pretended to be reserved and picked up a glass of red wine. His expression became a lot more indifferent as he sat beside her. Brother, you're finally back. The young girl's joyful tone pleased Tang Jing. He put down the wine cup and unconsciously rubbed the young girl's head, feeling that it was very nice to the touch. The girl's brilliant smile made him feel a little guilty. However, this guilt was quickly suppressed by him. Even if he didn't hate Tang Gua, he didn't like to be manipulated by others. Before the family Tang couple made a decision, they had to make Tang Guo fall in love with someone else. Thinking of this, Tang Zhang's face returned to its previous alienation. Xiaogua, what do you think about Lin Yiqi? Tang Zhang squeezed the wine glass and casually asked. He is one of the rare business geniuses of the Lin family. Our family Tang and the Lin family have some relations, so we know each other well. After Tang Jing finished speaking, he discovered that the young girl was staring at him without blinking, causing him to feel somewhat uncomfortable. What is it? Big brother, do you think he's good? The girl asked innocently. Tang Jing squeezed the wine glass and couldn't help but use some strength before finally saying, I think he's very good. Oh. The girl lowered her head for a moment and said in a very low voice, since Big Brother thinks he's good, then he must be a good person. Big Brother Lin said that he would ask me out to play some other day. Tang Guo blinked her eyes and asked seriously, since Big Brother says he's good, then I shouldn't refuse him. Chapter 87. Before leaving the party, Tang Guo ran in front of Lin Yiqi and smiled brightly. Brother Lin, my brother said that you're a good person, so I can go out with you. Tang Jing, who heard the girl's words behind her, felt uncomfortable. She was really a stupid girl, spoiled by her parents. If he said he was a good person, would he really be a good person? If he said he was a good person, would he be able to go out with anyone? Tang Jing didn't know where the displeasure in his heart came from. Anyways, this sister of his was so stupid that it was scary. She didn't seem like the daughter his parents taught at all. Tang Jing frowned deeply, looking at Lin Ichi more and more displeasing to the eye. He originally thought that Lin Ichi was a good person. Suddenly, he felt that Lin Ichi wasn't good. He wasn't as handsome as him, wasn't as tall as him, and definitely wasn't as smart as him. His gentlemanly appearance was so fake. Tang Zheng laughed coldly. This kind of person liked to cheat the feelings of little girls the most. If the two got married in the future, with his family's Xiaogua's innocence, she would definitely be deceived by the other party. Tang Zheng pursed his lips and stared deeply at Lin Ichi. Lin Ichi felt Tang Zheng's gaze and felt that it was a bit strange. In the end, he felt that maybe Tang Zheng thought that he was good enough to be his brother-in-law, but the other party felt that he stole his sister, so he looked at him with love and hate. Thinking of this, Lin Ichi politely came over to greet Tang Zheng. "Boss Tang, don't worry. When we go out to play, I'll take good care of Xiaogua. Xiaogua, let's go home." Tang Zheng ignored Lin Ichi and held Tang Guo's hand, personally stuffed her into the car, and closed the door. His movements were fast and smooth. Glancing out the window, he saw Lin Ichi's stiff face and finally felt a bit better. Who was Lin Ichi? If he didn't bring Xiaogua out, would he even know Xiaogua? He even dared to say that he would take Xiaogua out to play in front of him and would take care of her. Xiaogua was the family Tang's little princess. Was she someone that anyone could take care of? Tang Guo caught a glimpse of the person next to him. Sometimes, she showed a look of disgust and sometimes a smile. She looked at him curiously. Tang Zheng came back to his senses and saw the young girl propping up her face and looking at him. He was a little uncomfortable. He coughed lightly and pretended to be calm as he picked up the book next to him to read. "Brother, you are indeed a genius." Suddenly hearing the young girl's praise, Tang Zheng unconsciously curled the corner of his mouth. He thought to himself, this girl has some foresight. She's not so repulsed anymore. You can actually read a book upside down. Tang Zheng, system, ahahaha. I always thought that reciting it backwards was a legend, but I never thought that one day I would be able to see it with my own eyes. The young girl's worshipful eyes made Tang Zheng not know whether to continue reading or turn the book upside down. He rubbed his forehead. Sure enough, the family's little princess was spoiled. When he was young, he knew about his parents' plans, so he had always worked hard in his studies. By the time he was 10, he had already finished all the high school courses. It took him another 2 years to finish the university courses. At the age of 12, he finally went abroad as he wished. He worked so hard because he didn't want to be manipulated by others. He wanted to avoid the family Tang's little princess. He didn't want to return to the family Tang. Even though they had been apart for a long time, Tang Guo was still very close to him. If she was a smart girl, she would definitely see that he was unfamiliar with her. Brother Lin said that he would take me out to play tomorrow. Chapter 88. When did he ask for your phone number and add you on WeChat? Tang Zheng asked seriously as he fiddled with his phone. Tang Guo stared at Tang Jing. At the party, brother said that he was a good person, so I don't think there's anything wrong with giving it to him, right? After all, brother said that he was a good person. If brother doesn't like it, I'll delete him. Tang Guo snatched the phone and quickly deleted Lin Ichi's WeChat and then deleted his phone number. Lin Ichi had just sent a message saying, "Where do you want to go?" when he found a red exclamation mark behind it. He was a bit confused. Everything was fine just now, so why did she delete him all of a sudden? It should be a mistake, right? Tang Jing froze for a moment. He didn't think that Tang Guo would be so straightforward. For a moment, he didn't know what to feel. I don't like people that brother doesn't like, and I don't like people that brother doesn't like. If brother doesn't like me playing with him, then I won't play with him." The girl's sweet and soft voice quietly passed through Tang Zhang's heart. Tang Zhang quickly recovered, his expression complicated. "Xiao Guo, do you want to play with him?" "Brother, why do you ask?" Tang Zhang let out a breath. "If Xiao Guo wants to play with him, I won't stop you." His original goal was to make Xiao Guo like someone else. For a long time, the person beside him didn't speak. Tang Zhang couldn't stand the silence in the car. He turned his head and saw that the girl had her head down, looking a bit down. He couldn't help but feel a bit uncomfortable. "What's wrong? Didn't brother say that he's good?" The girl raised her head, looking a bit confused and helpless. "Brother, don't you like him a lot? Why did brother say that I want to play with him?" She furrowed her brows in confusion. "Could it be that I misunderstood brother's meaning and brother doesn't like him?" The girl's performance made Tang Zhang's heart tremble. Her beautiful face was full of self-blame. "I'm really too stupid. I actually didn't realize brother's true intentions. It turns out that when brother praises someone, it doesn't necessarily mean it. It could be a compliment used to mock that person." Tang Zhang, who was shocked by Tang Guo's imagination, "I'll be more careful next time, brother." Tang Guo looked up and said seriously, "I won't just take your words at face value next time." Tang Zhang, system, ahahaha. Host, are you serious? The family Tang couple went abroad to travel at this time in order to create an opportunity for the two of them to be alone together. However, they did not expect that Tang Zhang would let Tang Guo like someone else during this holiday. By the time they came back, there was nothing they could do but accept the fact that Tang Guo loved Lin Yiqi wholeheartedly. The system really wanted to get some information from Tang Guo, but its host seemed to be in a good mood and fell asleep. Next door, Tang Zhang was different. He didn't sleep well the whole night. Tang Zhang's IQ was undoubtedly very high, and from the young girl's performance, it was clear that she had a good impression of him, so much so that she would decide to like or not like someone because of him. This was undoubtedly the opposite of his goal. The next morning, Tang Guo felt that Tang Zhang was unfamiliar, as if the two were just strangers. Host, Tang Zhang doesn't seem to have changed his mind. Tang Guo was eating breakfast when the phone on the table suddenly rang. Chapter 89. Brother Lin. Tang Zhang's attention was immediately attracted by the girl's voice. Even though he was slowly eating his breakfast, his ears were sharp as he listened to the girl's movements. His eyes were also inadvertently observing the girl's expression. "Ah. About deleting WeChat. Maybe." My hand slipped. Tang Zhang's mouth couldn't help but curve up as he discovered that the breakfast was quite delicious. "Go out and play. Now." Tang Zhang's smile disappeared as he glanced over and met the girl's gaze. He heard her say, "No, come pick up Xiao Guo later." Tang Zhang snatched the phone. "She rarely goes out to play, so take good care of her." Lin Yiqi was still feeling regretful, but when he heard Tang Zhang's words, he let out a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to reply, the phone was hung up. To this, he just shook his head and smiled, not caring. He just needed the family's help. At most, he didn't hate Tang Guo. But now his family was giving him a lot of pressure. Even without Tang Guo, there would still be other daughters from other families. Compared to the smart and capable daughters of other families, it was obviously easier to coax a spoiled little family Tang princess. "Xiao Guo, go dress up. Lin Yiqi will come pick you up in a bit." Tang Zhang returned the phone to Tang Guo. He lowered his head and didn't look at Tang Guo. "Dress up." He didn't raise his head because he didn't want to look at the girl's eyes. He didn't know what kind of expression she would have. No matter what, he wouldn't change his original intentions. He wouldn't go against the choice he made just because he changed his view of Tanghua. Okay. She wasn't as unreasonable as he imagined. Just a single okay was enough to make him feel uncomfortable. Tang Jing raised his head and only saw the girl's back as she hurriedly ran back to her room. He clenched his fists and in the end, only a faint smile appeared on his face. He didn't do anything else. Host, you're really dressed up this beautifully. The system still couldn't understand what the host was planning to do. Yesterday, it thought that the host wanted to capture Tang Jing and make him die for her. But today, it seemed that Tang Jing wasn't so easily swayed. Why was the host dressed so happily today? Could it be that the host was going to woo the male lead, Lin Yiqi? My host, didn't we agree not to touch the male lead? Tang Guo pursed her lips. Did I say I wanted to touch the male lead? I'm just going to have some fun. Don't tell me you want me to stay cooped up in the house. That way, you'll be bored to death. Maybe you won't be able to figure it out and commit suicide. No, that's not what I meant. He was just worried that the host would accidentally cause the world to collapse again. Although he was used to such things, he still couldn't help but worry that the host would take revenge on society if she was unhappy. Tang Guo carefully looked at her eyebrows and applied pink lipstick. The corners of her mouth curved slightly, and she changed into a pink dress that was very suitable for the little family Tang princess. With her slightly curly hair, she looked like a cute Barbie doll. If one ignored the meaningful smile on her face, even the system felt that everything was perfect. Big brother, you're the one who asked me to go. The system shuddered. What the fuck was going on? Why did it feel so dangerous to be by the host's side? In the end, the system couldn't help but ask. Host, are you going to take revenge on Tang Jing? Am I? Yes, I'm very sure. Ah. Then let's see how they perform. If I'm satisfied, then maybe I'll give them a good ending. Chapter 90. Brother, am I pretty? The young girl walked down the stairs like a cute Barbie doll, making people want to hold her in their hands and take care of her. Pretty. Tang Jing couldn't say something that went against his heart, so he subconsciously ignored the discomfort in his heart. The young girl quickly walked through his side and tried to hug his arm, but he gently avoided her. He didn't ignore the disappointment in her eyes. This feeling of rejecting her made his heart twitch. Lin Yiqi is here. Oh. The young girl followed behind while Tang Jing walked in front with his eyebrows furrowed. Lin Yiqi was holding a bouquet of red roses, and after Tang Guo came out, he gave the flowers to the young girl. The young girl holding the roses looked even more beautiful. Protect her well. Tang Jing pursed his lips and only said this one sentence, don't let anyone bully her. Boss Tang, don't worry, I will take good care of Xiao Guo and won't let her be bullied. Lin Yiqi walked over and helped Tang Guo into the car. The moment the car door closed, Tang Jing seemed to have noticed the young girl's gaze on his body, clean and clear. He hurriedly turned around and didn't realize that his footsteps were actually a bit awkward. Ever since Tang Guo was picked up by Lin Yiqi, Tang Jing was always restless. He looked at the clock from time to time, and the assistant beside him thought that he had something urgent to deal with, so when he reported his work, he couldn't help but speak a lot faster. Boss Tang, is there something urgent? Tang Jing paused, continue. Yes. Following that, Tang Jing couldn't help but look at his watch, and his eyebrows furrowed. How come only half an hour has passed? The assistant's forehead was covered in cold sweat, as he had never seen Boss Tang so anxious. He quickly finished what he wanted to say and slipped out of the office, letting out a long sigh of relief. Finally, Tang Jing dialed Tang Guo's number. Brother. The obviously cheerful voice made Tang Jing feel a bit of regret. It's nothing, I just wanted to call you and ask if you were bullied. Ah, thank you, Big Brother. Big Brother Lin has always taken good care of me. No one bullied me. From the girl's voice, he could tell that she had not been bullied. Big Brother Lin brought me to East Lake to play. There are so many lotus flowers here. They are so beautiful. Big Brother, do you want to see? I'll take some photos for you. No need. Tang Zheng coldly hung up the phone, the corner of his mouth lifted into a cold smile. She'd said yesterday that she'd listen to him, but today she was so smitten by Lin Yiqi that she couldn't even tell north from south. However, his phone soon rang. He opened it and saw a photo taken by Tang Gua. The lotus flowers were indeed very beautiful, but why was there a certain person's beautiful face on every lotus flower? This was not a picture of the scenery at all. It was clearly a selfie. The young girl smiled brightly, and even those beautiful flowers could not compare to her beauty. Brother, is East Lake beautiful? Following that, he received news from the girl. Tang Zheng could not help but reply, it looks good. The scenery was beautiful, but the people were even more beautiful. After replying, he threw the phone away in annoyance. Pursing his lips, he listened to the incessant notifications. He immediately turned off the phone and threw it away. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows, looking at the series of photos she sent, and seeing that she did not receive a reply, she let out a low chuckle. She casually threw the phone into the water, and with a splash, it attracted Lin Yiqi's attention. What's wrong? Tang Guo's face was very innocent. I accidentally dropped my phone in the lake. Chapter 91. Tang Guo leaned on the edge of the boat, anxiously looking for the phone that she'd accidentally dropped in the lake. Is that phone important to you? Lin Yiqi didn't think that the little princess of family Tang would be anxious because of a lost phone. Obviously, he had already figured out that the phone meant a lot to Tang Guo. Tang Guo heard his words and raised her head, looking at Lin Yiqi with sparkling eyes. Yeah, how did you know? You look very anxious, Lin Yiqi smiled, so it should mean a lot to you. Yeah. The corners of Tang Guo's mouth curved. That's a gift my brother brought back from abroad. I haven't used it for long. If my brother finds out that I accidentally lost his gift, he'll be very unhappy. Lin Yiqi wanted to comfort her, but he felt his sleeve being pulled. Brother Lin, can you help me find my phone? The system silently measured the depth and area of East Lake, as well as the surrounding people, and came to a conclusion: its host was up to something. Lin Yiqi couldn't bring himself to reject the girl's pleading face. Can't I? Seeing the girl's disappointed expression, Lin Yiqi blurted out without thinking, no, I'll help you find it. After saying that, Lin Yiqi was a little annoyed. He suddenly realized that his brain couldn't control his speech nerves. Usually, he would think carefully before he spoke. This kind of state would only appear when Qing angered him. According to Tang Guo's understanding, the relationship between Qing and Lin Yiqi was still in the process of breaking in. To be exact, the two of them liked each other and didn't like each other, but it wasn't to the point where it was deep. Otherwise, with the male lead's personality, he wouldn't marry for the sake of family connections. Brother Lin, are you really going to help me find my phone? Tang Guo looked down, but the water is so deep. Can you swim? Brother Lin looks like a gentleman. He doesn't look like someone who would go into the water. Lin Yiqi, he really didn't know why the little princess of family Tang thought that he had to go into the water himself to help her find her phone. The knowledgeable system, you can understand it as watching too many dramas. His host was a troublesome little demon. Lin Yiqi was just about to say that he'd send someone down to look for her when he felt a tug on his sleeve. Big Brother Lin, so the guests here can really go into the water. Look at the gentleman on the boat over there. He's helping his girlfriend get into the water to pick the lotus pods. Following Tangua's words, Linichi saw a man taking off his jacket and trousers, putting on a survival suit and diving into the water to harvest the lotuses. This was not the only example. It could be seen everywhere. Lin Yi turned around and saw the little princess of the family's focused, sparkling eyes. Lin Yi swallowed the words he was about to say. I'll call someone to retrieve the phone right now. Big brother Lin, are you unwilling? Of course, it's my pleasure to serve my beautiful little princess. Linichi smiled gently as he patted Tangua's head. Just you wait. He, Linichi, was never one to give up halfway. He'd sacrificed so much already, and it'd be a joke if he failed. As expected, Big Brother was right. It wasn't a sarcastic remark. Big Brother Lin is a good person. Linichi felt much better after being praised by the little princess of the family. Chapter 92. Tangua watched as Linichi entered the water, patting her hair as if she was trying to get rid of something dirty. System, he remembered that the host wasn't a clean freak. Tangua held her chin as she stared at the man swimming in the lake. Her lips curved. When do you think he'll find the phone? Host, are you really a devil? He's the male lead, after all. Don't you feel guilty for making fun of him like this? When Linichi looked over, Tangua returned a sweet smile and said sensibly. Big brother Lin, if you can't find it then forget it. You should come up. Lake East is so big, it's normal if you can't find it. It's just a phone, I don't want it anymore. As the male lead, Linichi naturally wouldn't agree. He had no choice but to go down the lake, but now he swore that he would find the phone that tortured him and see what it was like. Aw, you're really dedicated. The system wasn't happy to hear its host's praise. It was afraid that the male lead and female lead would be tortured to death by its host before they could love each other deeply. Fortunately, its host had a sense of propriety and wouldn't kill the male lead and female lead so easily. She said it as if she had killed them before. However, in a world after Tangua became evil, she did kill the male lead and female lead. What was the result of their death? Because the male lead and female lead didn't have a lifespan, they were killed prematurely, causing the world they built to collapse instantly. The system and its host regretfully went to the next world. It was also at that time that his smart host came to a conclusion. She could jump around in any world and change her fate as she pleased. The only thing she couldn't change was her lifespan. At most, under certain conditions, she could extend it by 10 years. The system was even shocked to find that as long as its host wanted to, she could do something. As for the mission she completed obediently at the beginning, acting out the life of a cannon fodder, it understood that the host didn't even know what she wanted to do, which was why she was sent to so many worlds. What are you thinking? Ling Ju-ding's voice rang out, causing the system to regain its senses. He faintly said, Host, I've discovered something extremely inconceivable. You can overshadow the male lead and female lead's aura. MMP, this is really amazing. The system's heart was very complicated. What did this mean? It meant that she could destroy a world if she wanted to. He was starting to doubt his life. He even felt the need to examine the meaning of his existence. Was it an existence that restrained the host, or was it a pet of the host? Tang Zheng, who had turned off his phone for an hour, finally remembered to turn it on. As soon as he turned on his phone, he couldn't wait to read the messages sent by Tangua. As he read, the smile on his face disappeared. This was because he realized that Tangua had not sent any more messages after he turned off his phone for a minute. He gripped his phone tightly, looked at the time, and called the villa. Not back yet. Yes, young master. At this time, Miss should be eating outside. Tang Jing couldn't help but look at the time. 11:20, it was indeed time to eat. Tang Jing put down his phone and after a few minutes, picked it up again and dialed Tang Guo's number. Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable. Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable. Chapter 93. Tang Jing pursed his lips and flipped through the message records. Looking at the girl who was more beautiful than a lotus, a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. That little pink mouth really knew how to coax people. He must have been possessed to believe her nonsense. However, wasn't the result very much what he wanted? In the end, Tang Jing casually threw the phone aside and didn't pay attention to anything about Tang Guo anymore. It was as if he had driven the girl's figure out of his mind at that moment. After wandering in the East Lake for nearly an hour, Lin Yiqi, who almost knelt down for a phone, finally found Tang Guo's phone in the mud. Tang Guo was a little surprised. To be honest, she was really surprised. Then she sighed. As expected of the male lead, he could even fish out a phone after throwing it into the East Lake. Lin Yiqi also very gentlemanly wiped the phone clean and handed it to Tang Guo. Thank you, Brother Lin. You're so nice. Tang Guo wouldn't be stingy with the good guy card. Lin Yiqi, who'd been upset at first, suddenly felt as if he'd done something as wonderful as helping an old man cross the road. He was very satisfied. He really saw a ghost. Brother Lin, let's not play in the East Lake today. You've been swimming in the water for so long, I'm afraid you'll catch a cold. Go home first and let the doctor take a look at you. My mother said that to prevent a cold, it's best to boil a bowl of ginger soup and have a good sleep. If you get sick because of this, I'll feel very sorry. Lin Yiqi's heart felt comfortable. Wasn't it just fishing for a broken phone in the East Lake? In fact, it was a different kind of experience. Especially when he felt the care of the family's little princess, Lin Yiqi felt comfortable both physically and mentally. In his current state, there was really no need to play anymore. He still cared about his image. Today's end was also a gain. Tang Guo was also very considerate and said that he would take a taxi back, so that he wouldn't catch a cold and make her worry. Lin Yiqi also felt that his body wasn't very comfortable, so he didn't force it. The system understood that its host had played enough teasing Lin Yiqi and didn't want to face him for the time being. Tang Guo returned to the villa and felt that the entire villa was in the cold winter. It was clearly the hot summer. As if she didn't know anything, she went to her room as usual. Just as she reached the door, she felt a cold gaze and turned her head to look. Tang Jing stood at the door and looked at her deeply for a while, thinking that she would explain something. In the end, she didn't say a single word, and her face became colder and colder. Brother. Tang Jing suddenly recovered his smile, which was a bit strange. He smiled faintly and walked up to Tang Guo. Did you have fun? His voice was calm and distant, and no one could tell what he meant. It's all right. Tang Jing's pupils darkened, but he didn't show it on his face as he maintained his smile. It seems that Lin Yiqi has taken good care of Xiao Guo. Tang Guo pinched her dress. Her nervous look was very realistic. If the system didn't know that all of this was fake, it would have thought that its host was really scared. Do you have a date tomorrow? Tang Zheng's voice was gentle and distant, just like in the past. Tang Guo carefully looked at him and pursed her lips. No. If Xiao Guo likes Lin Yiqi, brother won't object. You two are a good match. Ah. Chapter 94. Doesn't Xiao Guo like Lin Yiqi? Tang Zheng's smile was strange as he reached out to caress the girl's smooth cheeks and whispered into her ear, "When Mom and Dad come back, Xiao Guo can tell them that you and Lin Yiqi love each other and they won't object." After all, the two of you are a good match. After speaking, Tang Jing didn't know why, but his heart suddenly felt empty. His eyebrows furrowed as he didn't like this feeling. The girl pursed her lips as she pinched her dress and lowered her eyes. Her helpless appearance really made one want to trample on her. You two are a perfect match. Mom and Dad will be happy to help you two hold a wedding. Tang Guo abruptly raised her head, and Tang Jing discovered that her lips were very pale. But he didn't pay it much mind as he thought it was because the girl was nervous after being exposed. Is this what Big Brother wants? Tang Jing froze as he didn't expect the girl to ask such a question. He didn't think too much about it and said, of course. Lin Ichi looks perfect, doesn't he? The girl lowered her head and said in a low voice, if this is what Big Brother wants, then I will tell Mom and Dad when they come back. Tang Jing raised his eyebrows and laughed, then you should rest early. He turned and went back to his room. Tang Jing, who returned to his room, didn't look as calm as before. Instead, his face was dark as if something had gone wrong. In contrast to Tang Jing's displeasure, the depressed Tang Guo went back to her room and locked the door. She leisurely laid on her bed and ate snacks, while she was at it. System, what happened to the girl who was abandoned by her big brother? What? Host, what are you doing? The system thought back to what Tang Guo said before, is this what Big Brother wants? This sentence was so familiar that it had to go back to the original plot. It was shocked to find that this was the same sentence the original host said to Tang Jing before Tang Guo agreed to Lin Ichi's proposal. The same expression, the same emotions, the same disappointed tone. But the hidden emotions were deeper than the host's. The system was shocked. He seemed to have discovered something incredible. He secretly looked at the host, who was excitedly scrolling through Weibo, and finally mustered up his courage. Does the original host like Tang Jing? Aren't you the system? Do you know the plot? He was the system, so he knew the plot. But if the host didn't trigger some hidden plot, he wouldn't know. Host, how did you find out? I really don't know who wrote you. Your IQ is worrying. Stupid thing, if you didn't have me, you wouldn't even be able to survive. Come to think of it, the one you should be thanking me. System, Xiaoguo's knee, is he really that useless? Tang Guo seemed to know what he was thinking. She chuckled and said, other than providing the plot, what else can you do? Like hacking the internet, give me a gift. Do you think I get a reward? If it wasn't for my photographic memory, my intelligence, my beauty, my ability to work in the kitchen, and my ability to learn survival skills while trying to survive, would you still be able to survive? You say, what do you? Of. System, if that's the case, then he's really useless. Chapter 95. After the system reflected deeply, it felt that it was really useless. So much so that when facing Tang Guo, it didn't even mention the matter of her abusing the male and female lead. It would never admit that it was the host's fault. Host, just tell me, did the original body like Tang Jing? If that was the case, why did she marry Lin Ichi? After knowing that Lin Ichi had Gu Qingqing, why would she fight with Lin Ichi? In the end, there was such an ending. Yes. Tang Guo's eyes sank. I have liked him since I was very young. The system's spirit was lifted and it didn't disturb Tang Guo from continuing. It always felt that the host knew a lot and knew a lot. Even though she saw the same plot, she could always analyze many key points. When the original body was 3 years old, she was hospitalized once. Behind the ward she stayed in, there was an orphanage. Tang Guo said in a low voice, she saw Tang Jing, a stubborn and tenacious boy. Tang Jing was able to be taken to the family Tang. Was it related to the original body? The system almost jumped up. It only glanced at this plot. After all, the original body didn't take the initiative to ask the family Tang couple to adopt a child. The original body stayed in the hospital for a week. Every day she would look at the orphanage from the window. Do you think the family Tang couple didn't see it? As the two big shots of the Tang group, how could they not know who their daughter was looking at? They loved their daughter so much. If their daughter liked someone, of course they would bring him back. The truth was that the family Tang couple looked at their sick daughter and smiled happily at a child in the orphanage every day. Coupled with their daughter's quick recovery, they felt that the child was blessed. They also felt that their daughter lacked a companion, so they brought him back. At first, they didn't plan to cultivate him as a son-in-law. Later, seeing that Tang Zheng was promising, plus their daughter liked him, they had this plan. But Tang Zheng mistakenly thought that they had this plan from the beginning. It was no wonder that even though Tang Zheng had been abroad for so many years, he didn't see Tang Guo at all. In the plot, Tang Guo listened to Tang Zheng the most. Many times, the family Tang couple couldn't coax her. But as long as Tang Zheng said a word, she would be willing to go through water and tread on fire. The original body was actually as smart as snow. When she felt Tang Zheng's rejection of her, she did not dare to reveal her feelings and chose to silently hide it. Another way was to like Tang Zheng. For example, listening to his words and supporting his ideas, even if it was his decision. If not for the efforts of the original body, Tang Zheng would not have gone abroad to study and start a business so smoothly. After listening to Tang Guo's analysis, the system murmured, the original owner of this body must have been possessed. Later on, when Tang Zheng plotted against her for liking Lin Yiqi, she remained silent. She was already used to it. Since it was Tang Zheng's wish, then it was her wish. She would try her best to like Lin Yiqi. It should be said that the original Lin Chujiu was so immersed in her role that she only came out of it when she heard that the Tang couple had died. She already understood that Tang Zheng did not like her and that she had no family. She had lost her last hope of living, so she chose to kill Gu Qingqing and Lin Yiqi with her blade. She wanted to take them down with her. In the end, she failed and was sent to a mental hospital where she was hacked to death by a mental patient. She did not resist. The system was actually very complicated. Because every time his host threw herself into a cannon fodder role, she was not the kind of bad person at the beginning. There were even some people who were not bad from the beginning to the end, but their inevitable fate was very tragic. He understood very well why his host was becoming more and more depressed. Chapter 96. Host, I'm sorry, I seem to have really dragged you down. The system was sincerely apologizing. If it was just a bit smarter, perhaps the host would not have collapsed. It did not know when it would stop traveling through worlds. When it was created, it was to accompany Tang Guo as cannon fodder. It was as if the person who created it did not give it any specific task. It found that its and its host's future was bleak. It should be said that the best result was to be able to travel through these worlds and never die. Don't be discouraged. If I can get out, I will not forget you for the sake of our past relationship. The system wanted to squeeze out 2 tears to show that it was moved. Unfortunately, it was just a program and did not have a body, nor did it have things like tears. It was so fucking embarrassing. Host, if you feel that I can help you in the future, there is no need to be polite. Tang Guo was silent for a while. Are you sure? System, ahahaha. It should be possible. Why couldn't it be sure? Maybe it was because its host was too crazy. After eating her fill, Tang Guo did not leave the room. Even when it was time for dinner, she did not take the initiative to go out. Tang Zheng ate alone in the dining room. He glanced at the seat where Tang Guo usually sat and felt that today's food was hard to swallow. Why isn't the young miss coming down to eat? The young miss said she is not hungry. Tang Zheng frowned and coldly laughed. She even learned to throw a tantrum. Servant, she is the young miss. There is nothing wrong with throwing a tantrum, young master. Go tell her to come down to eat. Tang Zheng put down his bowl and chopsticks, as if waiting for Tang Gua to come down to eat. The servant did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly went upstairs to knock on Tang Gua's door. Young miss, it is time for dinner. I am not hungry and do not want to eat. You can leave. The servant's face revealed a difficult expression. She did not dare to provoke this little princess. Just as she was about to go downstairs to report the situation, Tang Zheng had already arrived at the door. Come out to eat. Hearing Tang Zheng's voice, Tang Gua narrowed her eyes, climbed out of bed, and nimbly opened the door. The moment she opened the door, her unfathomable expression turned into that of an obedient little girl. System, in terms of acting, he is not as good as the host. Brother. The young girl's sweet tone seemed to be able to seep into one's heart. Even Tang Zheng did not realize that his emotions had already been controlled by the young girl in front of him. Who are you angry with behind closed doors? Or are you angry because I exposed you? Tang Zheng was in a bad mood. A mere Lin Yiqi was enough to make her care so much. Although this was what he wanted, of course, he couldn't tell Tang Gua about it. You like Lin Yiqi, and if you're worried about Dad and Mom blaming you, I'll plead for you. When the time comes, you just need to worry about getting married to Lin Yiqi. The girl whose eyes were originally clear and bright like stars, upon hearing Tang Zheng's words, became silent. She lowered her head and only made an "oh" sound, not saying anything else. Tang Zheng, on the other hand, felt uncomfortable. Was it because of Lin Yiqi? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have spent so much effort to bring her to the banquet. When House Lin brought Lin Yiqi over, she'd be interested in him as well. Thinking like this, Tang Zheng was not in a good mood. All right, come down and eat. Feeling that the young girl was still obediently following behind him, Tang Zheng's mood improved a lot. Following this, it was time to eat in silence. Tang Gua did not eat more than 2 mouthfuls before going upstairs. The first thing she said after locking the door was, if I knew that tonight's dishes would be so delicious, I would have eaten less snacks. System. Chapter 97. The next day, before Tang Zheng went to the company, he subconsciously knocked on Tang Gua's door. When the servant saw it, she told him that Tang Gua went out early in the morning. Thinking that Tang Gua couldn't wait to see Lin Yiqi, Tang Zheng's good mood from the morning was gone. Got it, I'll go to the company first. Young master, don't you want to eat breakfast first? The servant chased after him and asked, but all she got was the sound of the car starting. Tang Zheng pursed his lips, his eyes were terrifyingly deep. When he arrived at the company, all the staff members saw Tang Zheng's expression and exchanged glances, indicating that they absolutely couldn't provoke Boss Tang today. Boss Tang was obviously in a bad mood. He didn't know who provoked Boss Tang, but it was really courageous. He didn't know if this person was still alive. And did Tang Gua really go to see Lin Yiqi? Tang Gua smiled coldly, she wasn't in the mood to see that pig-trotter Lin Yiqi. Tang Gua went to the phone repair shop, she took the broken phone from yesterday to fix. System, it doesn't understand this operation. Boss, can you fix it? Tang Gua saw that the boss had already taken the phone apart. Although it was wet, there wasn't any sludge inside. Let me try first. The boss was very nervous, it was the first time such a beautiful girl came to ask him to fix a phone early in the morning. Looking at the girl's meaning, she still wanted to wait for him to fix it. It was really stressful. If he didn't fix it, he always felt that the beautiful girl would cry by his side. He couldn't bear it. Therefore, he would do his best to fix the phone by the end of the day. "Boss, you have to fix this phone, please." The boss hurriedly nodded. His whole body was covered in cold sweat, especially when he saw the girl give him a thick stack of money. It looked like a lot. Speaking of which, with so much money, he should be able to buy a phone similar to this one, right? But seeing the girl's anxious face, the boss didn't complain and seriously fixed the phone. He didn't even have the thought to refuse. Close to 12 o'clock, Tang Jing finally couldn't bear it anymore, because since this morning, Tang Gua hadn't sent a message or called him. This was something that would have never happened in the past. Could it be that she'd forgotten everything after playing so much with Lin Yi? Finally, Tang Jing expressionlessly dialed Tang Gua's number. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable." Tang Jing's face darkened. When the assistant walked in, he really hoped that he would turn around and leave. With a dark face, Tang Jing once again dialed Tang Gua's number, but her phone was still turned off. Tang Jing sneered twice. The assistant who walked to the door could feel that Boss Tang's office was in the dead of winter. "Connect me to Lin Yiqi." "And you are?" "Tang Jing." "Okay, Boss Tang. Please wait a moment." When Lin Yiqi heard the secretary say that Tang Jing had called, he was really flattered. Why would that person call him? After thinking about it, he finally blamed it on Tang Gua. When he picked up the phone, sure enough, Tang Zheng's first sentence was, "You and Xiaogua had a good time." Lin Yiqi didn't react for a moment, thinking that Tang Zheng was talking about yesterday's incident. He smiled. "Xiaogua is a very good girl, of course I'm happy to be with her." Tang Zheng's heart sank, and he made a mental note for Lin Yiqi, a man with flowery words. "Put her on the phone." Chapter 98. What? Lin Yiqi was stunned for a moment before he reacted and asked, "Boss Tang, what did you just say?" "I said, let Xiaogua answer the phone." Tang Jing pursed his lips. He didn't like to say it a second time. "Boss Tang, Xiaogua isn't with me." Lin Yiqi seemed to understand something. Could it be that she came to find me? When did this happen? If that's the case, Boss Tang, you should have informed me earlier so that I could go down and pick up Xiaogua. Tang Jing frowned. "She's not with you." "I just asked the secretary. So far, no one has come to find me." Tang Jing didn't waste any more words and hung up the phone with a bang. Since Tang Guo wasn't with Lin Yiqi, there was no need for him to say anything more to this flowery man. It was just that Tang Guo wasn't with Lin Yiqi. This was the main point. Tang Guo had turned off her phone. This was also the main point. So far, her phone was still turned off. During this period, there was not a single call or message. This was very important. Tang Zheng called the villa again and found out that Tang Guo didn't go back. He suddenly stood up from his seat and walked out of the office with his long legs. The staff members who were originally having lunch and fooling around immediately went silent when they saw Tang Jing come out from inside. Tang Zheng's face was dark, and there was an unconcealable worry in his eyes. In the past, no matter where Tang Guo went, she would always inform him in advance. Even after she went out, she would send him a message every half an hour. Within 2 hours, there would definitely be a call. Even at school, Tang Guo would contact him several times a day. Even when he was abroad, Tang Guo would think of ways to communicate with him every day. It seemed that he was used to this way of getting along. Suddenly, a person was not within his range of perception for half a day. He was actually not used to it and was even worried. He didn't think too much about the reason. The most important thing now was to find Tang Guo. Tang Zheng was a very direct person, and the method he used was also very straightforward. Call the police. When the police received the news that the little princess of the family Tang family was missing, of course, they did not stop looking for her. Family Tang's little princess was missing, and it was the young master of Family Tang who personally reported it to the police. How could this not be taken seriously? Tang Guo waited in the mobile phone repair shop for a long time and felt a little sleepy. She yawned and ordered takeout for the shop owner in a friendly manner. After eating, the boss continued to repair his phone. However, this phone was very complicated. He had tried many methods, but he still couldn't restore the phone to its original state. He was about to give up, but the young lady beside him said that she wanted him to continue repairing it. She even said that she would compensate him for the cost of delaying his work today. His mission today was to repair this phone. For the sake of money, the boss did his best to repair it. Although it was not fixed yet, it did not mean that there was no progress. At the very least, he felt that his mobile phone repair skills had improved a lot in half a day. Tang Guo leaned against the counter, looking listless. At some point, 2 police officers came to the door of the shop. They looked at Tang Guo and compared her to the photo. Finally, they secretly took a photo of Tang Guo and sent it back. Young Master Tang, this should be Miss Tang, right? Tang Jing recognized at a glance that the girl in the photo was Tang Guo. He put away his phone and got up. Where is she? The police officer beside him let out a sigh of relief. I'll take young Master Tang there right away. Chapter 99. Tang Guo stood up as if she had done something guilty. She obediently stood in front of Tang Jing and blocked the shop owner behind her. Big brother. Tang Jing dryly called out. Tang Zhang's already dark face no longer had any expression. When he saw the girl, Tang Jing inexplicably let out a sigh of relief. But when he saw her guilty look, his anger rose again. You've been here all morning. Why didn't you inform me when you went out in the morning? You didn't call or send me a message. The 3 questions in a row stunned the system. Why is your phone turned off? In the end, Tang Jing asked again. System, no, it's 4 questions in a row. At the same time, he was much taller than Tang Guo, so he naturally saw the shop owner fiddling with his phone. His eyebrows slightly furrowed. It shouldn't be what he thought. Family Tang's little princess woke up early in the morning just to repair her phone. Tang Guo pulled Tang Zhang's sleeve and looked at him pitifully. Tang Zhang glanced at her. Come back with me. He grabbed the girl's hand and ignored the shop owner. He should lock her up in the villa so that she would know what it meant to be obedient. Big brother, can we go back after a while? Tang Zhang's eyebrows furrowed. He naturally noticed Tang Guo's evasive gaze. If he still couldn't guess it, then he really was a fool. Family Tang's little princess really came to the shop early in the morning to repair her phone. In the villa, Tang Jing sat upright on the sofa, playing with the pink phone that the shop owner couldn't repair for an entire morning. Standing in front of him was the uneasy Family Tang's little princess. Looking at her scared appearance, Tang Zhang was angered to the point of laughing. Tell me, why did you sneak out early in the morning to repair your phone? Tang Zhang couldn't understand. My phone is broken, so I asked someone to send a new one over. For a moment, Tang Zhang's mind filled with all kinds of reasons. Anyway, every one of them made him feel bad. The only thing that made him feel better was the fact that Tang Guo wasn't out for Lin Yiqi. He planned for Tang Guo to fall in love with Lin Yiqi, but there was no need for her to sacrifice her status as the family's little princess for Lin Yiqi. Brother, do you really want to know? The young girl seemed to have made a decision as she looked at Tang Jing seriously. Tang Jing did not suspect anything and nodded his head, naturally. He was really curious as to why the little princess of the family Tang group would go through so much trouble to fix a broken phone. Although this was a limited edition mobile phone that couldn't even be bought in China, this wasn't a reason to repair it. The young girl looked at Tang Jing and finally lowered her head. Her voice was very low, but one could hear the longing and attachment in it. This is the birthday present that Big Brother gave me this year. His voice was filled with an inexplicable sense of longing, making one's heart ache. After Tang Jing heard this, he was also stunned. He thought of many reasons, but he never thought that it would be this. If Big Brother doesn't like it, then I won't do such a thing again. Before Tang Jing could react, he heard Tang Guo say that she would go back to her room first. When he looked up, he saw the back of the young girl hurriedly running upstairs. He held the pink phone in his hand and didn't speak for a long time. A trace of struggle flashed in his eyes, but in the end, he calmed down. After a long time, he took out his phone and was about to make a call when a servant came in with a box. "Young master, this was sent by President Lin. She said it was for Mississippi." Chapter 100. Tang Jing opened it. It was an exquisite phone, and it was the latest model this year. It wasn't any worse than the one in his hand. Tang Jing's heart inexplicably burned with anger. "Send it back." Then, he dialed the previous number. "Bring me the best phone this year. 4 girls." He added in the end. A minute later, the servant came over again. "Young master, President Lin is calling." Tang Jing frowned slightly. Displeasure flashed in his eyes, but he still walked over and picked up the phone. "President Lin." His voice was calm and cold without any warmth. On the other end of the phone, Lin Yiqi paused. He obviously didn't expect Tang Jing to pick up the phone. He reacted in an instant. So Boss Tang is also at home. It was hard to say what he had prepared before. Lin Yiqi couldn't help but recall the girl with the pure smile yesterday. The little princess of family Tang was indeed well protected. "Where's Xiaoguo?" Tang Zhang's brows never relaxed. They had only known each other for a few days, but he called her so intimately. "Upstairs." Lin Yiqi paused. "Can you let Xiaoguo answer the phone?" Displeasure flashed in Tang Zhang's eyes. He said without thinking, "She's taking an afternoon nap." "Servant, the miss didn't seem to have the habit of sleeping after eating." Lin Yiqi, "Oh, that's a pity." Lin Yiqi asked tentatively. "Xiaoguo's phone fell into the water yesterday. It should be broken. I asked someone to send it over today, but it was returned. I just wanted to ask if Xiaoguo didn't like it. Boss Tang is Xiaoguo's brother. He should know her preferences. What kind of phone does she like?" Tang Jing lowered his eyes. "The family has already prepared one for her. The little princess of family Tang doesn't lack a phone. You don't have to worry about it. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first." Lin Yiqi listened to the beeping sound on the phone and was a little confused. He always felt that Tang Jing was hostile to him, but from his previous attitude, Tang Jing allowed Tang Guo to contact him. "Young master, the phone is here." Tang Jing checked his phone and felt that it was not bad, so he said, "Send it to Xiaoguo." Just as the servant was about to take it, he withdrew his hand. "Forget it, I'll go." The little princess was spoiled and seemed to be angry with him today. Tang Jing did not know when he had stopped rejecting contact with Tang Guo. The system kindly reminded him. Tang Guo quickly hid all the snacks, wiped the corner of her mouth with a tissue, and drank a mouthful of water. She also sprayed perfume around to prevent the smell of snacks from spreading. System, he doesn't know this woman with schizophrenia. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows, and the corners of her mouth curved into a wide smile. Her voice was soft and sweet, the kind that could seep into people's hearts. "Who is it?" Tang Jing paused, gripping the small and exquisite phone in his hand, the corner of his lips hooked up. Me. Brother. Her voice carried a bit of surprise, but in an instant, Tangua's voice changed, revealing a bit of sadness. Brother, is there something you need? If it's about what happened this morning, I promise it won't happen again. System, as expected, the host is not only crazy, but also schizophrenic. Open the door first. Tang Zheng could hear that Tanguo was not too happy. He found it a bit funny. The little princess of family Tang could do something like fixing a phone, yet she still had the face to be angry. Chapter 101. He didn't blame her, he was just a bit angry. She didn't contact him the whole morning just to fix her phone. Tang Zheng heard some noises in the room before the door finally opened. Brother. Seeing the girl carefully raise her head, Tang Zheng's heart softened. She was a spoiled little princess after all. He just didn't like his fate being manipulated by others. Your phone is broken, so get someone to bring a new one. Can't you understand such a simple thing? Tanguo lowered her head and didn't say anything. Take it. Tanguo raised her head and was a bit surprised. She took the exquisite phone from Tang Zheng and a smile appeared on her face. Her eyes seemed to light up. Brother, is this for me? Tang Zheng seemed to understand something from the girl's eyes. His warm smile disappeared and his face became a bit more distant. N. His voice was cold, as the miss of the family Tang, you went to a repair shop to fix your phone. If word got out, how embarrassing would that be? Tanguo pursed her lips and didn't say anything. The joy on her face also disappeared because of Tang Zheng's words. Lin Yiqi just called and asked what kind of phone you like. Tang Zheng didn't seem to notice the girl's expression. If you go out with him from now on, I won't stop you. After saying this, Tang Zheng felt that there was nothing more to say, so he turned around and went downstairs. A cold smile appeared on his face. He didn't like being manipulated by others. He didn't like having his emotions affected by others. He didn't like this kind of weakness. He closed his eyes and couldn't help but think back to when he first came to the family Tang. That 3 or 4-year-old girl stuck to him all day long. Tanguo played with her phone and sneered, this kind of person hasn't learned his lesson. The system hid in the corner and trembled. Ah! System, he's a bit scared. What should I do? Stupid thing, don't you think these people are all lowly bones? The system didn't dare to say anything. When I treat him well, he doesn't obediently enjoy it. Instead, he wants to give me a slap to feel good. Are you a masochist? The system really didn't dare to say anything. He couldn't help but recall that the host met a big villain in a certain world. Suddenly, he felt that the two of them were in the same boat. Perhaps it was because he had been wandering around the world for too long, and the host wanted to find a soulmate. The host understood her ending and only wanted to live a peaceful life during that period of time. She would treat a person well without holding back. If she was really good, she would praise that person to the heavens. However, the truth was often unsatisfactory. The host spent all of her efforts and treated a person well for 5 years, but in the end, it was nothing compared to a single sentence from the White Lotus female lead in the villain's heart. The system suddenly felt a little sad. It felt like it had been completely instigated. Tanguo chuckled. Do you think I'm afraid of betrayal? The system was silent. The host, whose heart had already been pierced through like a die, no longer needed sincerity. She no longer had a heart. The next day, Lin Yiqi asked Tanguo out, and Tanguo agreed. For the next couple of days, Lin Yiqi would create some romantic scenes, and Tanguo would still accept them. Lin Yiqi thought that everything he did recently had the heart of the little princess of the family firmly locked in his hands. It wasn't that he was so confident, but the focused gaze of Tanghua. Other than liking him, what other reason could there be to explain it? Lin Ichi also let out a sigh of relief. Recently, he had asked Tanghua out, and he hadn't seen Qingqing for a few days. Chapter 102. Big Boss, you shouldn't be here. Gu Qingqing wasn't happy after not seeing Lin Ichi for a few days. But he was a big boss, and she was just a small employee in his company. It was an accident that they even knew each other. See, how long had it been since they last met? He had already forgotten about her. Gu Qingqing picked up her bag and was about to leave when Lin Ichi grabbed her hand and pulled her to the corner of the corridor. Gu Qingqing's face immediately turned red when she sensed his masculine scent. She had to admit that the big boss she met was tall and handsome. He was the Prince Charming in every woman's heart. He was just a little bad-tempered. Did you miss me? Gu Qingqing was about to say, miss you big head, when Lin Ichi buried his head in her neck. She could feel his hot breath clearly. Her heart was beating so fast that it couldn't be stopped. It felt like it was going to jump out at any moment. Lin Ichi, what are you doing? Move away, I'm going home to cook for my dad. Gu Qingqing pushed Lin Ichi. My dad will starve if you don't go home now. Lin Ichi didn't let go. Instead, he hugged Gu Qingqing tighter. I'll find a nurse for your dad, Qingqing, okay? Gu Qingqing didn't say anything. She lowered her head. Lin Ichi, what do you mean? We're not related in any way. Why are you helping me? You're the big boss of Lin Group, and I'm just a small employee. Don't tell me that you care about your employees. What a silly girl. Lin Ichi liked honest and clean girls. He couldn't find any tricks here, and he could talk to her without thinking about the hidden meaning in her words. Then it's settled. I'll get someone to take care of your dad. No, Gu Qingqing rejected immediately. I can't accept it. I don't like to owe people. Lin Ichi chuckled and touched Gu Qingqing's cheek. I need a personal assistant. You can come. Hiring a nurse for your dad will be your special reward. But you have to do it well. Gu Qingqing fell into deep thought. She didn't think about it for long. She liked Lin Ichi, and her dad needed a nurse too. Now that he even thought of an excuse for her, she naturally wouldn't reject. All right. Qing, from today onwards, you are my personal assistant. Now, you have to accompany me for a meal. Gu Qingqing was still in a daze when Lin Ichi pulled her away. Not long after the two of them left, Tanghua came out from the side with a smile. She didn't expect that she would be able to get such a big surprise just by strolling around. She put away her phone and yawned. The system asked weakly. Tanghua sneered and said, it's not like I'll starve to death. He's not your father. Why are you so anxious? System, he's not in a hurry. He's just shocked by the female lead's actions. Big brother. When it was almost dark, Tanghua called Tangjing, can you come pick me up? The driver didn't follow you. Yeah, I wanted to come out alone to look for brother Lin, so I didn't bring him along, Tanghua said with some disappointment. But when I came to Lin's group, I didn't find him. Just as Tangjing was thinking, Tanghua added fuel to the fire. If Big Brother isn't free, then forget it. I'll call a taxi. Without giving Tangjing a chance to refute, Tanghua hung up. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.